Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be telling you guys about the time that I went to go retrieve a haunted mirror at a haunted bar with my professor, of course. This was the third job that I had done for him. If you have not watched any of my other videos, Professor R was my mythology and folklore professor. Okay, Professor R was a great professor. Okay, but he had some things to that he liked to do that people may deem like Professor R. Okay, so Professor R, he is eccentric. Okay, he wears this hat like the Mad Hatter, and he has this little black jacket, and he's like 60 something years old, and he's just like really cool. Okay, Professor R thinks that he's Gandalf. Okay, so Professor R, when I got out of his class, he had gave me a job to go pick up things that people believe to be bewitched, haunted, things that like eccentric people wanted to own. Okay, and so if you watch my horseshoe video, that'll kind of give you some kind of idea of what the job was. Okay, I also went to go pick up some other things too, but in the video before the horseshoe video, that's it too. Okay, so Professor R, he had called me and he asked me, can I drive for him to go pick up this haunted mirror at this haunted bar? And of course, I said, yeah, And this video isn't long neither. It's a very short story. I just wanted to ask you guys, like, what did you think happened, like, at the end? But I gotta tell you all of this to actually what happened, so just bear with me. Okay, so Professor R, he asked me to drive for him, and he told me that I could bring a friend. No, Professor R is not a creep. He thinks he's Gandalf. He is definitely not a creep. It's like Professor R is like, I don't know, he's like the cool uncle that you never had. Okay, like the grandpa from Lost Boys. Okay, so Professor R, he has a lot of like different archetypes like bunched up in one for himself because he's very eccentric. So like I could go on for days about how Professor R is just very influential and eccentric. Okay. And so Professor R, he came to pick me up, and I had started driving, and I went to go pick my friend up. My friend, she works with me on these jobs. She worked with me on my first two jobs too as well. She loves this job. She thinks that it's so cool. She has a thing for guys that work like in like monster makeup, haunted houses, stuff like that or whatever. So she's really like into like hunted stuff and stuff. And so Professor R, I go pick her up and we go to the bar, and the mirror that's at the bar, of course, Professor R, he knows all the lore of it. The lore is that some guy was stuck in the mirror. He had passed away in front of it. And if you have a grandfather clock in your home and the grandfather clock goes off at 12 and it actually makes the noise and it's actually functional and everything, if you have the mirror covered and you uncover it, he will appear in the mirror and answer a question about your past life to you. Okay, so he had a few clients that were lined up for this mirror, and the bar wanted to sell it to Professor R or whatever, and he was willing to buy it. Okay, so when we walk in, the people, it's like a mixed set. It's grunge, punk, alternative people that work there, and they're all cool, and so Professor R, he pays the guy, and after he pays the guy, the guys help Professor R like take the mirror out to the truck because it was like really heavy. Like Professor R couldn't carry it by himself, and then I couldn't, and my friend, we just could not help Professor R with that. It's like whatever was framed around it probably was making it heavy, but a lot of people had said that it was heavy because the guy was inside of it. That's what the lore says. And so Professor R, they get the mirror in. Some guy, he gives Professor R like this potion bottle looking absinthe tasting liquor. Okay, and he's like hyped because he wants it and he loves it. And so Professor R, he chats it up with the guy, and we leave, okay? And so while we're in the car on the way home, I don't hear anything. He doesn't hear anything. My friend doesn't hear anything. She's messing with Professor R, of course. She's telling him, like, who are you going to sell it to? Which one are you going to pick? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I don't know. Whoever calls first. So they're laughing at it. Professor R jipping his clients or whatever. And so we get to Professor R's house because Professor R wants me to stop by his home on the way home so he can put the mirror in his home so that way nothing happens to it, okay? And so Professor R, we get to his house, his nephew and his neighbor is going to help him take in the mirror to inside his home so that way he can sell it to the clients. Okay, so we're all standing there because me and her had got out of the car to speak to Professor R's wife because she's so nice. She like invites us to like these Thanksgiving dinners that she does. And so we always speak to her anytime we interact with Professor R. So we got out to speak to her and she was talking to us and everything. And then all of a sudden, while Professor R and the boys were touching the mirror, now we're outside. We're not in the house. We're outside. The trunk is open. The air is open. Everything is open, right? So they touch the mirror to get it positioned so that way they can take it out of the trunk. And as they're holding it, no one's busting a move. No one's doing anything. No one's doing nothing. I'm sorry about that. So the guys, they were all just standing there and they were holding the mirror. And while they were holding it, like everyone had their part. Like Professor R was holding it in front, and the two guys were holding it in the back. While they were like, like pulling it out and holding it and everything, it just burst. It just completely burst, and we all saw it. It just it burst. It did not crack. It burst, like that kind of burst. So they stood there in shock because they were trying to figure out, like, was it the temperature? Was it because it was cold? Was it because it was, what was it? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the issue or what's the what or what? Well, Professor R is a professor, so he knows all about chemistry and all of that kind of stuff. So it wasn't the temperature. Um, it wasn't the weather. It wasn't anything that fell on it. It wasn't anything that went through it. It burst. And I'm talking it burst like how a soda and a Mentos. A soda and a Mentos, that kind of burst. Like we had to shield ourselves from the glass like coming toward us, okay? So we don't know what happened that day. But one thing that Professor R loves to say is that kid got out of the mirror. He was said to be 22 when he had passed away, and so that's why Professor R calls him a kid. And yeah, that's what happened. The mirror burst in front of all of us, and we still have no explanation. The wife, me, my friend, his nephew, his neighbor, none of us have an explanation to what happened because it burst. Like if it cracked, okay, somebody did something around here, or somebody made a wrong move, or if it just, like if it did a natural or normal thing, then okay, we have an explanation. But this is another one of those stories that involve Professor R that has no explanation. Okay. And so tell me what you guys think in the comment section. Professor R definitely was a hoot to be around on a daily basis. I really enjoyed him. I did. Yeah, tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about the mirror. Tell me what you think about the past lives. Tell me what you think about the guy. Tell me what you think. Okay, just talk to me. Okay. But yeah, this was a quick, short story. I wasn't going to have a lot of time tonight like I usually do. Like I usually upload a longer story for you guys, but I wanted to go in a chronological order, and my third job was very straight to the point. The mirror burst. Okay. Okay, so you guys have fun, explore the channel. I'll see you guys in the next video.